It says we're live. Good evening. We're doing top 5 Battlestar Galactica episodes tonight. I'm here with Mr. John's Comics with Kids.
Hello, top 5 back again after a short break.
Longish, if in my opinion, but that's my fault. That's on me. And we're also joined by Mr. Alec from White Whale Comics.
Hello. So say we all drink.
Damn it. I guess that
you had to be ready for that one.
I was not ready for that one.
Oh,
yeah. Hashtag Susan's Back Saturday.
Ryan is joking that if there are certain phrases that are thrown out by us at this,
come on,
he's gonna be drinking. So now we know one of his catchphrases. We're guaranteeing Ryan can't go to work for a few days.
Yeah, I think it's only the first time someone says it, right? Because otherwise he'll just be obliterated.
Sure. Then I'm just a machine.
Oh,
transition.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it was me the whole time. I don't know who should start this. We're gonna talk about. Should we do like a general overview of this?
Well, yeah, let's. So hey, this is top 5. This is the show where we decide what's important, and you all have to sit and watch and suck it up and deal with it. Doesn't matter what you think,
and probably get mad at John.
Tell us all that we're assholes, because I get that a lot on this show.
Sometimes that's rightfully deserved.
We've got several of these shows under our belt, but each one more bizarre than the next. We try to pick different topics and bounce around. You never know where our opinions are because, of course, they're like assholes, and we all have them. This is our second TV-centric episode, and one that we've been trying to get around to for a while because Alec knew right off the bat his top 5, and he was like, I need to do this. This needs to happen. Get ready, suckers.
Yeah, and it's funny that you did the superior show second.
It is funny. That's one of the many twists.
But we wanted to give Ryan a chance to deep dive back in because he's a man of research. He wants to know what he's talking about. Unlike me, I just speak off the cuff and you never know what you're getting. Ryan did some serious research. I got to know, Ryan, how many times have you gone through this series now as a whole?
This is probably my 3rd time. And that's the reason it took so long. I had to watch the whole show over again because it's been a while. It's been over 5 years. So.
And Alec, you have the box set, right?
Right here, in fact.
Look at that bad boy. How many times have you watched the whole series?
All the way through from start to finish, only twice, but I've watched numerous episodes other times.
Cherry picking?
Yeah, man.
That's a good way to do
it. I get the gist of it.
And I will say that's definitely been the way I watched it. I've yet to get through the show more than 2 times, but I definitely have cherry picked and watched certain episodes again and again and again, the ones that I'm really into. I want to shout out some folks in the chat. Obviously, Caleb was there at the jump, and Darwin and Kachung. Much appreciated you guys coming by. Stay puff, Mr. Garrell. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy the show as much as we have enjoyed watching and then hopefully talking about this.
And I hope you've all watched the show because I'm going to spoil the hell out of it.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah, hopefully you guys aren't going to be suffering from our spoilers because we will definitely be doing that. And of course, if ever one of my picks is on one of their boards, I have the tequila ready to go as punishment for me not being very original because we all know I am not terribly original.
It's self-imposed.
You're pretty original during the acting one.
Yeah, I definitely got some shots for that one.
Yeah.
Seawood in the house, newsstand.
So I'm guaranteeing tonight that I can't decide how many shots I'm going to be doing because it could be anywhere from 0 to 5. I definitely feel like there's a spectrum here, but I'm probably going to assume that a couple of mine will show up on a couple of your lists. So I'm fine going last and letting you guys take off because more than likely I'll just be drinking while you guys share.
That's fair. I can go first if you'd like, Alec.
Sure, you're the host with the most.
Why not? Let's start with number 5. When I was picking the list, and I first thought of these, most of my episodes were from the end of the show, but I went and rewatched the whole thing all over again the last couple months, and I got to this point in the first season, and I sent an email reminder to myself and said, like, don't forget about this one because this one, it's got a lot of cool moments for each of them. I don't know how well both of you remember this. I'm sure Alec does. He's a genius. But
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I remember dumb stuff, things,
yes,
and forget
this
important
one,
stuff.
there's my beef with this show. I'm just going to come out and get this out.
Oh boy.
Yes, the early era was very standalone and kind of plot of the week material. And I think in my personal preference, I like the more Lost style season-long building plots that kind of take a while to get going and get resolved. But
counterpoint,
yes,
they were building the plot from the beginning of this, whereas Lost didn't know where they were going with their plot.
I would agree. Okay. That was well done.
I would say this, and this is going to set fire. I'll set fire. If we're doing fire, we're throwing fire. I'm going to say this. I have a pretty dramatic opinion that I know is not going to be shared by pretty much anybody in the universe. But my thought is very strongly, I'm perfectly happy with how Lost ended, and I am absolutely furious with the way Battlestar Galactica ended. So,
right, well, then we're going to have some problems in this top 5.
But I will say I struggle to watch most of season 4 because I think the whole Starbucks plot line makes me want to die. Like it makes no sense and it's awful. So
okay, I'll explain it to you.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
You can totally explain it to me. It's still, if you look at her performance, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
Interesting.
I don't agree. But yeah, I went out of my way to pick what I thought was the coolest standalone single plot, start at the beginning and resolved by the end in one episode story, if that makes any sense. It's this plot where they have to like assault this Cylon base because they've got like a hold on all the spaceship fuel that they're running out of, and there's a whole bunch of crap that goes on. But it was quite stirring.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that one.
My turn?
On my list, so I'm still good. No drinking yet.
Yeah, that was. I didn't think anybody would pick that one.
Number 5. My pick for the best single standalone episode that is thrilling from beginning to end. John's gonna drink. Episode 1, season 1, episode 1, 33. And at the bottom, I have the survivor count. Yeah. Number 1 for John. Wow. I mean, it is rightly considered to be one of the best episodes in any top list you look at for Battlestar, because it comes out of the miniseries right into this episode. You're thrown into the middle of it. It is non-stop action from beginning to end. It is tense. It is intense. So the plot is that they have to jump every 33 minutes because the Cylons keep finding them where they jump. And during one of the jumps, a ship called the Olympic Carrier disappears or doesn't jump with them. It then shows back up, and they think that it's what's tracking them, because when it's not there, the Cylons stop showing up. So they decide to destroy this ship, even though there are only 49,000 or almost 50,000 people left in the world that has like 1,300 people on it. What's the matter, John?
I need to. You put the number of people alive on each of your cards?
Yeah, man.
That's
do it.
You're so pimp right now. I'm gonna make out with you next time I see you.
All right. Promises.
They're live.
So there's roughly 1,300, 1,400 people on this ship, and they just blow it up because they think it's a Cylon tracking device. And they're right, maybe, because the Cylons stop. Gaius's imagination 6 tells him that it's God looking out for him, which starts his entire plot line of being
mine too.
Yeah,
a lot of that there.
And then at the end, the first child is born of the fleet. So they bump the number up 1 at the end of the episode.
I honestly, there is no better episode for me. And I when Ryan was saying that it's very plot of the week with like get water, get fuel, get all these things, like I totally respect that that frustration. I do think, much like Lost's first season, the first season of Battlestar is about survival, and so a lot of it is like solve this problem, then this next problem. There is something so pure about this episode where it all the themes of the show are prevalent, right? the man versus the machine. The humans are basically just being ground down by time because they can't keep up the endurance that a machine can. And it's just wearing them down, watching them just get worn down little by little. It's like, it's painful and exhausting to watch and powerful. And my favorite character on the show, and it's usually not the case. I usually like, you know, the one of the tougher characters, but for me, Gaius Baltar is a freaking bomb. He is the best. The best character, the best actor. The performance is so pure and painful. He is so wonderfully human, right?
He metamorphosizes so many times.
He is so amazing. And this episode is perfect because it's so, he's not even worried about the freaking fleet. He's worried about his secret getting out because there's somebody on this other boat that can reveal what he did, the big shame of his life, right?
Well, and it's a pretty big shame.
It's huge.
Which, if you haven't watched the show, his shame is that he bangs Caprica 6, who
that's his crowning achievement.
Yeah, which, like, good job, buddy. You went up in the ladder there.
Right.
But he gives her access to the security stuff that allows the Cylons to blow up all of humanity almost.
Yeah.
So he should be pretty guilty, you know, feel pretty guilty about it and feel shame.
There's somebody claiming on this other ship that they can reveal the person who gave this information out. And so, of course, it's in Gaius's best interest to blow this thing to smithereens.
Yeah, he's very much
making a decision to save to save this fleet. He's making a decision to save his own ass, which is a fantastic human versus machine dilemma going on.
Yeah.
And I adore the whole breakdown of her in his head, whether it's an actual connection to this other character or whether it's just his personality, his ego speaking to him. It's so wonderful the way it's used through the show. And this episode for me is just tops on that. And again, always huge moral decisions, but broken down to their most gray elements. That's when this show for me is at its best. And yeah, I've watched this episode at least 10 times. It is unreal.
I agree, but I also like the more plot-centric episodes. Spoilers from the rest of my list. So yeah, I mean, standalone episode can't be beat. If I'm going to sit down and just watch one, probably it's going to be 33.
Maybe I need to do that tonight then, because I never give that one enough credit. Apparently, it's on all the lists.
The tension of it, besides just the slow breakdown of like the pilots are exhausted, they're all on stems, they're trying to like stay awake, but then you have the moral dilemma where everybody's just like they're scared. Everybody in the fleet, all the civilians are scared, they're all worried, and jump after jump, they're like, click the timer again, and they're all freaking out. When is this going to happen? They want to point the finger at each other. There's so many great human elements happening, like the responses to stress that humans have. It's amazing, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, my favorite Baltar line is going to come up later on my list. Can I go back to back?
Yeah, I've given one up, so it's back to you guys.
Number 4, because Seawood just brought it up. Exodus Part 2, Season 3, Episode 4.
I will say, and maybe we didn't make it clear enough to you, Alec, that if an episode has the same title, you're allowed to consider it one, meaning Exodus 1 and 2 could be considered one episode. Okay, good.
That's fine. Exodus Part 2 is the
I just don't want you to feel like you had to have Part 1 over here and Part 2 over here. You can call a two-part.
Yeah,
we started this rule. It's the Lost rule, because Lost has like a 3-hour episode that's like Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. It's like, no, let's just call it an episode. It's an epic movie episode, but it's an episode.
Well, thanks for prepping me for not embarrassing myself.
Sorry.
That was my
Exodus 3. Yeah. Exodus Part 2.
I picked both, but I think the second part is where all the fun stuff happens.
Yeah. So Seawood brings up the fact that Ty has to kill his own wife to save the resistance, which spoilers for later on, a lot of the head resistance members are actually Cylons. Interesting when you rewatch it. So, but the big, huge moment that everyone talks about in this episode is where Galactica jumps into the atmosphere and launches the Vipers. And it is one of the greatest moments in a sci-fi show ever.
Can I take this moment to specifically point out how much the music in this show just kicks ass? I think like the way it's very percussive. Like he goes hard on all the drums, and that's it gives it this like intense military feeling. But also he throws in a nice little sentimental bagpipe every now and then that brings a tear to the eye.
Yeah, it's obviously got a very formal feeling, the music, whether it's this like drums of war or the music of mourning and funeral pyres and that kind of thing. You have this wonderful music. Yeah, I totally agree. And it is highlighted in this episode. It would have been my number 6. It was like right there.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely number 3 for me.
So Ryan, was there anything else about that episode you wanted to highlight or mention for that why you picked it?
I just thought it had such cool moments for every single one of the characters. I loved Gaius Baltar's dilemma the whole time during New Caprica as like the captive president. That was great. It was like humanizing him, but also showing how just
what a coward he is.
Yeah, it's so compelling.
So interestingly, I think that New Caprica is a low point for the series. Like I think it is the point at which like it really dips for me. Mm-hmm. Which is funny that a New Caprica episode made my list, but part 2 specifically, I'm pretty sure is where it jumps ahead a year.
Somewhere in there, I think it was when they were on the planet and it jumps ahead for a year.
Right.
Well, because they have the season finale where they're on the planet, but like then all of a sudden at the very end of the season finale of the previous season, it jumps ahead and the Cylons show up and take over.
Right.
And the next season begins and they're in occupation, and then the second episode is it's the one you did in Exodus parts 1 and 2, where they're freed.
Cool. But for some reason I seem to remember that this one even had another time jump, and this is where Lee gets fat.
Lee is fat, yeah. For this 2-parter and the episode before it, you get Fat Lee, which is, by the way, a hysterical. I love Fat Lee the same way I love Jack Shepard's beard when he's escaped the island. Like it's just like ridiculously awful, and yet I can't look away.
I love how he jumps ropes for like 5 minutes and then he's back to normal, and it's just.
I love how his father calls him soft.
Yes, that was good.
Several times, and so does his girl or his wife.
Yeah. So yeah, but there's like a lot of other stuff going on in this episode with Hera and Leoben and Starbuck, and there's just like, but those are the 2 big things: is Saul's sacrifice and Galactica jumping in. Tremendous.
I think New Caprica for me works because it turns the whole the show is kind of a metaphor for terrorism, the war on terrorism, 9/11, a whole bunch of heavy early 2000s political stuff. But when you get to New Caprica, it flips the dynamic on its head, and our heroes become the like
suicide bombers, and
they're suicide bombing. Yeah, they're using suicide vests to blow up like police academies and causing chaos all over the Cylon occupied city that they've established. And it really. And it made me think this time. The first times I watched the show, I had like zero awareness of the world and I didn't care. But now, it really kind of struck a chord. And I think that New Caprica stuff for me took a hike in my favorite section of the show listings.
Definitely. All right. Well, I'm glad that was my number 6. I didn't have to worry about it then. Here's my so I got number 5 and 4 on my list are probably off the wall ones that nobody's got, but I've got. Number 5 is called No Exit. Anybody got No Exit? Okay, good. I'm worried about that one. Oh, he went for his list. I'm a little worried.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So I like this episode. This is Ellen Ty when you realize that she's the Cylon. We jump to her rebirth in the resurrection ship. And for me, this whole episode, I am riveted to her and Dean Stockwell, Brother Cavill, just having an epic like mom and son fight about like all the problems they've had over just centuries. And now it's like mom is finally awoken to the drama that's been playing out, and they can finally have a conversation. And it is so full of like anger and hate and all the crap that's just been building up over scar tissue over time. Just the 2 of them. And caught in the middle is Boomer, who is basically like having to try to pick sides between these 2 sort of parent figures for her, like grandma and dad. I got to pick sides. Like I could watch their debate sequences and I have like over and over again. the two actors spar so fantastically. And it's the buildup of who is this fifth Cylon, who is this last Cylon. And you get a snippet of them revealed in a previous episode, but now you get like the payoff for me of that, which is Ellen Tigh going round and round and round with what she calls John, or Brother Cavill. It's phenomenal. I honestly just can watch the two of them tear into each other. Like, it's riveting. You also get back on the ship. You get Anders with the bullet in his head, basically like freaking out and like telling the history of Cylons in like bits and scattered pieces. And then you also get like Chief Tyrrell finally getting his job back and having to try to fix the Battlestar Galactica with Cylon technology. Yeah, for me, I mean, I would probably put this on my list just for Ellen Tigh and John. But you add all that other stuff in, and it's just like, yeah, it's I'm done. I'm in.
You just like it because there's a character named John in it.
Revealed fun. Anytime Dean Stockwell of Quantum Leap fame gets called John, I'm in.
Is that the monologue where he goes on and on about like seeing stars and like looking through these stupid eyes and just complaining about why they made them so crappy?
Yes. Yeah, he's got this amazing breakdown of like,
incredible.
I want to see gamma rays. And I want to smell dark matter. And, you know, and she's just like, and he's like, and you gave me this awful shell of a body.
Well, he's not wrong. Kind of human bodies are pretty terrible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you compare him to Six, who won that lottery?
That's true. Why weren't they all super fine?
I mean, all the ladies kind of were.
So I know this is not a popular episode, but for me, it's the payoff of the final five, in my opinion. Because you get the history of the Cylons told both by Sam and by Ellen.
What season was that one in?
This is my only season 4 pick.
Oh, man.
I'm not a big season 4 guy, like I mentioned, but this one limits Starbuck in a big, big way. She's kind of like off screen for all of it. And instead what you get is this great battle of honestly, it feels like a parent and a child finally having a conversation about, what did I say?
Issues in the chat said the magic phrase.
There you go. It's like a parent and a child finally having the conversation about their relationship that they have always waited to have. And it goes so horribly. Like, it just does not go well at all. So badly that in the end, Boomer has to intervene and sneak Ellen off the ship and back to Galactica. Right? It ends with Ellen finally being reunited with, you know, she rolls into Galactica. They escape, right? Because it sets up the next episode where Saul and Ellen are finally reunited.
I think my number 4 pick is right before that, if I'm not mistaken.
Go for it.
I'm going to go for it. I picked, oh, goodness, there we go. Sometimes a Great Notion. That's season 4, episode 11. That is one.
Face.
What's up?
Otherwise, there's a sad face.
Yes. That one is a major downer. It's, I liked it. I liked the feels that it gave you, but it's the one they just find this planet Earth. Like, they found Earth. That's like the whole quest of the whole show. They're trying to find Earth. They find the planet, and they're giving all these crazy speeches on the ship, like, we did it, all of our fighting, you know, finally paid off. Let's go down and have this big old party. And they send a search team down there, and the whole planet is like a nuked out, irradiated wasteland, like exactly like the one they just left. There's been no life there for like thousands of years, and everybody just morale completely plummets on the ship.
I'll say that shot, when it's like one long take with all the actors on that beach and it slowly rolls by and you get each one of them reacting to this place, is brutal. It's each actor adds their own layer of what am I seeing and how does this affect me? Yeah, amazing. That shot is powerful.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty devastating for them as a collective, because they, like you said, this is what they've been looking for this whole time, and it is what they were looking for. It is Earth. Mm-hmm. So it's not that they found the wrong planet. They found the planet they were looking for, and it's just uninhabitable because it is where they originally came from, and time is a flat circle and everything repeats itself. I know that's True Detective, but
that's good too.
It applies here.
It's cool because on that beach, the 4 Cylons get like flashbacks, and we see where they were the last time this civilization had been destroyed by robots who overthrew them. Like you say, time repeats itself. We find out that that's the one where at the end where we find out that
it's Ellen.
Ty's wife was the 5th Cylon.
Yeah, he's in the water, right? And he has the vision.
Yeah,
exactly.
And yeah, so that is the one directly before No Exit.
Like people are killing themselves. Like President Rosalind stops taking her medication and she burns her Bible, and like the whole thing is just a major downer. And I liked it, so I picked it at number 4.
Downers are cool.
Yes, they are.
All right, Alec, what's your next one?
Number 3, Crossroads Part 2, Season 3, Episode 20.
Nope.
Really?
What's that?
This is so. I'm gonna save the deep cut for why I like this so much. But this is the All Along the Watchtower episode where the final 4 of the final 5 are revealed. And has this episode just builds and builds. I think it is underrated because of the ending or rather, it is ignored for how good it is because of the ending. But the rest of it is like the Baltar trial conclusion, which is just thrilling and just like fascinating courtroom drama. And then it builds up to them all hearing this song in the ship where Ty says, "It's in the fracking ship." And they, Tori, Ty, Tyrell, and Sam Anders are revealed as the 4 of the final 5 Cylons. They meet together and they all realize what's happening. And then, if that wasn't enough of a punch in the face, it then cuts to this mysterious Viper showing up and saving the day. And it turns out to be Starbuck, who you think is dead. And she radios to Lee, "Hey, guess what? I found Earth and I'm going to take us there." And then it zooms out while playing All Along the Watchtower and it shows Earth. And then the episode ends. And that was the season finale. And if you were watching this live, it then cut to an ad that said, "Coming back in a year, you get to find out what happened."
Man.
And I almost flipped my television because it was the most exciting. Like it was what you were waiting for this whole time, is the reveal of these Cylons and the return of a character that you have already mourned because you thought she was dead. And it just craziness.
I would very much like to have watched this live. That's a caveat I feel like needs to be mentioned. I did not watch it live.
It made my list despite the Starbuck return, I will tell you. Because, again, I freaking love the trial of Gaius Baltar is phenomenal.
Where
this freaking lawyer is a riot.
Yeah, and Gata betraying him.
Oh, so many layers to that trial. Lee deciding to become a lawyer and follow grandfather and jumping right in to help out.
Yeah.
You have Ty being like basically forced to explain how he killed his wife on the stand, and then he's hearing the music and he's freaking out on the stand. Everybody's like, he's got to be drunk.
And the lawyer calling for a mistrial because of Adama's whatever, and which clearly is a chess move that works in his favor. It's just so good. And then the lawyer just like bounces on him. He's like, "All right, I did my job. Good luck." And Gaius is left being like, "Well, how am I? Everyone's just going to want to kill me now because they didn't get the justice.
My job's not to protect you.
Yeah, my job is to stop you this time from getting executed."
Right. I love the honestly, I said earlier, Gaius is my favorite character, and this is when like he is at his wit's end. It is like such a powerful two-parter. And so many layers of that story have been building to this trial. Like whether you go back all the way to his original sin, or all the way through his time as president, and sign the paper, sign it, and he's got to like sign off the death warrant of all those characters. Like, it all builds to the trial, and the trial for me was just absolutely freaking riveting. And again, the way they reveal the 4 of the final 5 is phenomenal. That music cue and the way it plays out, and the characters responding to each other, and as an audience,
you realize what the song is, because at first it's very abstract.
Totally,
and it kind of like comes together into the familiar.
And the way that it plays into
I think Alec has my list.
Yeah, the way it plays into Starbucks ship and the what it's doing, and then later on the piano and the musical notes and that element, like that's set up so far in advance. So I really respect that stuff.
Do you not like Starbuck through the whole series, or just?
I think she's amazing up till she comes back to life. So that plot line, again, the way that actor acts makes no sense. If she's like, if you want to spoil it, I'm fine. Like, she's a ghost. What the? She can like talk to people and touch things and interact with people, and she has no knowledge, but she also has lots of knowledge, and she doesn't understand what the fuck's going on, but she can disappear and fucking reappear. Like, none of it makes logic to me.
It's a science fiction show, right?
But like,
she's not a ghost. She's not a ghost.
Set up,
not a ghost. She's an angel.
All out and wrote all new rules for her in the last season.
But why do you hate her return at the point of her return then?
Because if she's a ghost, she follows no logical rules of ghosts.
But take away season 4, you said despite her return at the end of the episode, because watching this the first time through, you don't know that you're going to hate where they go with her.
And that's my other frustration, is it makes the rewatch even worse. Like,
you don't know what you're talking about.
She's a ghost, but like, she can like talk to people, touch people, interact with people, no big deal. They can like touch her ship, but it's like a ghost ship. Like, everybody can like download information off of the ghost ship, and it works just fine. But she has no clue of who she is or what she's there for. But she has this important mission to do. Like, all of it makes zero sense.
I feel like Starbucks' resurrection sequence is no worse than any of the Stranger Things that happened on Lost. To be 100% fair, I think Lost.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, Lost is guilty of similar transgressions, to say the least.
I would argue that their transgressions are with minor characters, where this is like the lead character, possibly. Like, I feel like they screwed the pooch on their most important character right at the end, when it's like, I honestly can't watch any of her sequences in the 4th season. It's just so bizarre. There's no logic. If they want to make her a ghost, I'm fine with that, but have some system to it, have some rules to it, because it seems like she's been brought back to achieve this goal, but is super confused about what the goal is and how to do it. And it's kind of running around sometimes like, oh, it's this. No, wait, I got to do it. No, wait, I don't know quite what I'm doing here.
I got 2 things. I don't know if you can hear me over your yelling that a number of times I said that she's not a ghost, she's an angel. And number 2,
what's the difference?
I don't know, Jesus.
The Lord.
Or the gods in this case. But number 2, like, you can't have the show, if she comes back and knows everything, then she would just say, hey, guess what? A, B, C, D.
Then don't kill her and bring her back if that's the goal.
But it was, well, whatever.
I wouldn't have argued if they left her dead.
Like, if you had just had, let's imagine it this way. She doesn't die, right? She crashes, they rescue her, she's like in a coma, and she has like weird revelations. At least then it's like, it's fragments and pieces that she's trying to put together, and it makes sense why she's struggling to convince people and why nobody's believing her and why it's got. But you kill her and bring her back, and then she's like all-knowing, but at the same time not quite all-knowing. It doesn't quite know what's going on, and then all of a sudden at the end she just disappears.
Spoilers for the end of the season. You want to talk about your number 4?
Flawed design.
How many? I have 2 left.
That's actually worse on a rewatch, in my opinion. How
many do you have left, Ryan?
I had 2 left as well. My top 2.
You want to go, John, so you can calm down a little?
I love the show, but for her, I really do. And I honestly, the first 3 seasons, she might be my favorite character until she screws the pooch.
Not for me.
All right, so Ryan, what do you got?
What do I got? I still got. You still have your number 4 to reveal, bro.
I got 4 and 2. You want me to go?
I have 1 and 2.
I have 1 and 2.
All right. Download.
What's that?
You're just picking words.
Downloaded. It's actually downloaded, I think. Actually, I think I wrote it wrong.
Yeah.
Disqualified.
Yeah, DQ. This is the episode where we finally get to see what happened to Six when she died on Caprica and was resurrected. And you get all of her time on Caprica now that it's been silentized. And she's going around as like this savior to some people, but also this threat to other Cylons because she's sort of spent time with humans for so long and achieved this epic goal, which is to blend with them so well that she could achieve Cylon means. I love Six. I think she's a fascinating character, and I love Gaius. And what I love about this episode is it flips the Gaius-Six dynamic, where now she has freaking Gaius in her brain.
Amazing.
Just,
when that reveal is mind-blowing.
It's phenomenal.
And makes me, I wasn't going to bring this up at the time you brought it up, where you said you're not sure if it's his ego or not. I think this shows that it is not, and that there is actually some sort of divine intervention between these two characters.
I think it's likely, but at the same time, it does leave this crack in the window open for the idea that they're so alike, these two characters, that they might both suffer from the same ego problem.
But I think, to me, like, it's very clear that in this world or this universe that they created, that the gods are real, that there is some sort of divine force that is controlling them or guiding them or whatever the case may be. And having said that, I think that makes it much more plausible that they are actually seeing visions of one another.
Yeah. And I think that's personally how I feel about it. But I do like the idea that there is this possibility that it's just egotistical people who really care about themselves, how they look, and yet have this connection as a pair, both to a vile, evil act, which was this destruction of Caprica and other cultures, but also like to this sort of sex act between the two of them. So you get her reintegration into Cylon culture. You get this sort of like Anders has this bombing that he does on basically a Cylon Starbucks, if you will. You get the cave in where you have 3, a Boomer, and you have Caprica 6 all trapped together, and they've captured Anders, and they're basically gonna decide whether they kill him or not. And Caprica 6 is realizing that this version of 3 really doesn't have her best interests at heart and has put Boomer and her together for her own sort of Game of Thrones-like means, her own desires. Meanwhile, back on Caprica, the storyline is the birth of Hera, the C-section for Hera, and the decision politically to hide the baby.
Yeah. Hera comes in big. I mean, she is like the chosen child, and it turns out to actually be. Spoilers.
She's actually pretty important all the way through the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is the C-section of her where she has her birth, but at the same time you get Six having her rebirth, as it were. And I just, I love this episode.
It would definitely be in my top 10 for sure. That was a really good one.
I said to these guys before we went live that my top 5 were my knee-jerk top 5, and that when I was going back looking through episode listings, I was like, oh man, I could have picked so many because there's so many good ones, but I stuck with my 5.
Going with the gut.
You want to do number 2?
I think I'm
on number 2.
I feel like this one might be controversial based on how little the season 4 love has been espoused tonight, but and this breaks our two-parter rule, but I went with the 2-part mutiny sequence in season 4. Yeah, I didn't think that one would
Lawbreaker, rule breaker.
Rule breaker. You didn't like that stuff? Is that not good? I get the feeling people don't like that era.
No, I have nothing wrong with the episodes. I'm teasing you for breaking our rules.
Seawood said he thought Blood on the Scales was going to be on our list.
Oh, I like that Seawood and JD are giving me a little download love as well. I think it's called Downloaded, but I'm not sure.
I just really liked the mutiny element because it. I was a big fan of Tom Zarek this time around, and I was kind of bummed out at how little he was actually used throughout the entire show. In my memories of the show, he was more of a factor. I think because this 2-part story kind of stuck in my brain a lot more over the years. It was just cool. I liked how they pivoted around the relationship between Tom Zarek and Felix Gaeta, and they're both two pretty minor characters, but also they're in some kind of weird middle ground between like main star and like recurring guest actor. They're both like there in the background. Gaeta more than Tom Zarek, of course.
Yeah,
but
and Gaeta's death is strangely heartbreaking, even though he's irredeemable.
Yeah, he definitely crosses the line multiple times in that episode, and yeah, there's a whole deeper meaning going behind with his leg and how it itches and it stops itching. He got his leg amputated because of some Starbucks shenanigans earlier because they were on some ship. I don't even remember why they were on that ship. She had like a crew of people out in the ship in the middle of nowhere waiting for her to like get inspiration to find Earth, I think is what it was.
Yeah, which is what John hated.
Yeah,
and I didn't like that portion of it very much either.
Yeah, neither did I, but I like how it had a little mini mutiny to kind of tease the tension that was building. And
how that Kamala extract.
There you go. Yep.
Everybody does their Kamala extract.
Some people do.
You're being attacked by your board.
I know. Better than being attacked by silence.
Debatable.
Depends on if it's 6 or not.
Exactly. But yeah, I had that one on number 2.
My number 2,
for sure.
And perhaps I am blinded by my love of Starbuck. Season 4, episode 19, Someone to Watch Over Me. This is the episode where she makes friends with the piano player at the bar. And there's the count of survivors. She makes friends with the piano player at the bar and eventually realizes that this star map that Hera has drawn, or what they think is a star map, is actually musical notes that play the All Along the Watchtower song, which gives her the inspiration that she was looking for to find the way back to Earth. And that sequence where it zooms up from the piano and she's playing the song, and then the piano player disappears because it's actually her dead dad, who was a piano player, maybe. Just it gives me chills every time, and I think that it is a payoff that is worth the wait for the weird stuff they do in between. For me, and then also at the end of that episode, Hera is kidnapped by Boomer, while Athena is tied up in the closet while Boomer bangs her husband.
That's right before the finale, right? That's the one leading into it?
Yes.
Okay. I just watched that one, and I'm having trouble remembering it already. I remember the piano player stuff. And
because it's the musical notes that she ends up using for the big, we got to make a jump blindly.
Yep.
That's right. Okay. Yep. That was more of that divine intervention kind of stuff that seems to crop up near the end of Battlestar and Lost, to bring it back to that show like we always do.
So yeah, that's my dark horse pick for my favorite episodes.
It's a good one.
So if we all, am I the last one with the last pick?
No, I've still got my number 1.
Yeah, we both have number 1s left.
Oh, then I'll do a number 2, and you guys I'll do a deuce, and you guys do a single. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like to see that.
I have a feeling this is not going to be one that Alec likes, just based on a comment he made earlier. But over Exodus, I prefer Occupation, which is basically the one right before that. I love seeing what it's like living under Cylon rule with a false Gaius as president, basically just stuck. And you have Gaeta running around passing information to the Resistance. You have Saul, who is locked up and being tortured, and he finally gets out. And you think it's because Ellen has been sleeping with Brother Cavill, but it turns out it's because they wanted to manipulate Ty and be able to follow the Resistance a little better. I love seeing the the debate going on inside of the Cylon camp, some of them feeling like we need to mend fences and build bridges here, and others feeling like we are still better than them. They should feel grateful that we didn't just slaughter them all, that they're alive. They should be happy. You know, that sort of Brother Cavill on one side and Six on the other, I think is really powerful stuff. So it builds. Of course, you get the beginning of Fat Lee. Love some Fat Lee. So you get the beginning of all that kind of stuff. And again, I'm a big Dean Stockwell fan, and seeing him really get to do a lot, whether it's his stuff with Ellen or his stuff in the debates where he's basically putting Gaius under his thumb a little bit and trying to control him, or whether it's the moment when he lets Ty out of prison. And it's done with this sort of tongue-in-cheek manner of like, sure, I'll leave the door open, but maybe there's a Cylon right outside that door is going to blow your head off. But I don't know. You know, hey, it could be either way. You don't know what's going to happen. I just really enjoy the interplay. And for me, when Ryan, you were talking about political ramifications or real-world ramifications, this is the episode for me. You have that suicide bombing. You have those, you know, the idea that they would have somebody that's willing to strap a bomb to their chest and go in and do it. And then at this time in U.S. history, to put that on a mainstream show and have us sympathize with the guy who's basically becoming a human bomb, that is shocking. And at the time was like a huge shock. You know, it was not that long after us diving into, you know, war in the Middle East and 9/11, all that stuff was still really raw. And then you have us sympathizing with a suicide bomber on a show. It was shocking. I remember watching it and being like, wow, that is television that makes you think. That is a whole other level.
Yeah, it's still my favorite era of the show is all the New Caprica from like the end of season 2 until like 5 or 6 episodes into season 3. Including,
yeah, I agree. Those are the highlight of the series. Absolutely.
Interesting.
There's one right after they get back to where they kind of execute all of the people they determined.
Oh my God, that's a good one. That would have been 7 for me. Yeah.
I include that as well in the New Caprica stuff, even though
they finally go, and then at the last second you think Gaeta is going to get it, and then Tyrell realizes, no, that was the guy feeding us information this whole time. And they've already executed the guy that basically saved his wife.
And so he's just like pulls the plug on the whole thing. Like, we can't be doing this.
The ramifications of New Caprica are so powerful. But this episode shows what New Caprica was like. And I was blown away by that hour.
Right on.
Nobody has it?
I didn't. No, I did not put that one on here.
We only had one
drink night, folks. 2 drinks. 2 drink minimum.
There you go. You want to go first, Alec, or shall I? We've both got number 1s left.
You can go. You started it off.
I had these 4 pretty locked in, and the number 1, I bounced around some other episodes in my head for a little while, and then like I kind of just, I had to pick the miniseries, although I could be swayed, and seeing some of your guys' picks have swayed me slightly, but I think the miniseries deserves the lion's share of the credit for getting this whole thing off the ground in the first place with the attack and, you know, the initial chaos of the immediate aftermath. I thought was really good.
Certainly tremendous. Like the scene of when you first see Six walk into that chamber in the red dress and walk up to the guy and kiss him, and then the whole thing blows up. It's like
just a crazy way to start it.
Yeah. Gangbusters.
But my one complaint about the miniseries is whenever I've tried to get somebody into the show and been like, hey, you really should watch the beginning, I've got to basically convince them to watch like hours.
A 3-hour movie. It's a 3-hour movie.
And I always feel like their instant reaction is like, really? That's a lot. I got to commit to a lot. Yeah. Whereas like other shows, you'd be like, oh, just watch the pilot. Like you really enjoy it. Or watch the first 2 episodes. But this miniseries is longer than like 3 episodes of a normal television show. So they've got to like commit.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, yes, I agree, because it's that idea of going into it saying, oh, I have to watch this much television. But I think once you start it, you're happy to watch it.
And the people that I've convinced are always excited about and happy about that they did it. But getting them to that place when they see like, how much TV? How How much time do I have to dedicate to this first episode?
The scene where 6 kills the baby.
Yep.
Which you think is heartless, but she's actually like doing it out of mercy.
Might be better that way. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough question to grapple.
Really, really interesting to start her dynamic.
Yeah, it really just obviously it's the first episode, so of course it lays the groundwork for everything, but it does when you speak, especially when you see her. That's a good point, like her journey over the years. It's a big one.
You ready?
You're up.
John, you're gonna be really mad at this pick. Season 4, episode 23, Daybreak Part 3.
I figured somebody would pick it because honestly, I know that I know that I'm in the minority that it is honestly considered to be one of the best and well thought out finales for a lot of people. So I totally knew somebody would pick it. It's just I just knew it wouldn't be me.
For me, it was between the finale or the premiere. So
Sure.
I went with the premiere.
Yeah, in my notes, all I wrote is tears. Like, this might come as a surprise to everyone, am not a very emotional guy. From the moment they send Sam Anders into the sun until the end of the episode, I cannot be consoled when watching this. I don't know what it is, but it's just like moment after moment of heartbreak and emotion, and just like the reality of the characters that they have created and the complexity of them and their realization of their mission, and the fact that they finally get to have some peace in their life, between Gaeta saying that, you know, he's just going to go to the highlands that he saw from the ship, to obviously Rosalind dying, and just as they are about to finally realize and be able to enjoy their love, her and Adama, is devastating. Starbuck disappearing. I know you don't care about that, but that moment is striking to me. And
for me, it's the Adama Rosalind bit. Like I absolutely lose my shit right then.
Oh, it's like, if you don't cry at that, you're an absolute monster. And honestly, to call back my comment earlier, saying I was going to bring up my favorite Baltar line. In a previous episode, he talks about how he comes from a farming family. And he's sitting there on the planet talking to 6, and he's very ashamed of that. Like, clearly, he thinks he's this grand man of science. He's too good for that life. And when he says, no, it's not safe to watch this yet, TJ. I'm about to literally spoil the end. Baltar says, I know a bit about farming, and starts to break down. And that admission that he has, that like, yes, this is who I am. I know farming because that is what my family is. And finally being able to be himself, I think, is such a cap on his character. It just, I don't know, it's masterful to me.
Yeah, and I know that when we had been chatting earlier about doing this top 5, you and I talking about a little bit about I don't even want to call it a reveal, but sort of the playful ending that they have, looking at humanity and its evolution. Like, I think is a really phenomenal way to end. And my favorite part of the ending, that sort of like tongue-in-cheek city streets moment where it's like,
yeah.
Like, look where you just came from. This is not your future.
We're all silence.
Yeah, that's the part that blows my mind the most, is that it's not in the future, it's in the past. The whole show takes place way, way, way in the past. Like, that for me was the biggest like mind fuck. I had no idea it was coming.
JD says most gut-wrenching death. It's Rosalind.
I think I would agree. Honestly, at that point, I feel like, and based on my age when I watched it, I didn't have kids or anything. It felt like I was watching my parents and her slowly die of cancer or something over several seasons of that show. It definitely was powerful.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, that's Battlestar Galactica, the best show of all time.
Hooray!
With Deadwood as an asterisk because it never got finished yet.
I wouldn't agree on either point, but that's a whole different discussion. Although they're in my top 10 for sure.
Thank you to those people who've jumped in that we didn't shout out, like 90 Miles from Comics. Nice to see you in here. JD, we didn't give you too many shout outs. Barbarian Kung Fu came by. Discovery Bay came by. And now we just had Boy Who Had Seven jump in. So thank you for everybody who came by. I really appreciate that. And I know these guys do as well.
We have 5 minutes. JD agrees. Deadwood is number 2. Comic Head 84 agrees. Ian McShane, greatest #1 character in TV of all time.
And JD threw out his top 5 for Battlestar, and he and I are 4 out of 5 on that. We agree out of 4 out of 5. And nobody mentioned Pegasus, which I will say is an episode that would have made my top 10. And I enjoy the episode, or the mini movie, whatever. Razor was really great as well. As far as like, I mean, you have to hate the other captain, and I understand like how frustrating it is to watch, but it's a really great storyline.
So it's especially frustrating again for those of us who watched it live, because it came out in between the episode where the final 4 are revealed, in that 1 year gap that ended up being longer than a year, because that's when the writer's strike happened. And it had nothing to do with the plot. And I wanted plot, and I didn't get it. And so I kind of have a sour taste in my mouth about it. So should we blast through our secondary top 5?
Yeah, we usually end each top 5 episode by running through a somewhat interconnected top 5 a little quickly, just to kind of have a palate cleanser to finish the episode off with. And we decided that for this week, we were going to do top 5 pop culture robots from entertainment that are not Cylons. Obviously, we would definitely have Cylons on our list if we were to actually make a list of favorite robots. We're going to forego the Cylons.
I did not know that was a rule, and Cylons are on my list of top 5 robots.
Boo to you, rule breaker twice tonight.
No.
Shame. Well, so do you want to just each run through the list?
Yeah, let's do it. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
I'll go first. Wall-E is my number 5. I have children, and I watch a lot of movies with children, and Wall-E is a freaking awesome character that I love.
Wall-E was my number 6.
Bishop from Aliens would definitely make my list on number 4.
Top 10.
Love Bishop and his work in Aliens as being like the counterpoint to the evil robot from Alien.
Yes, TJ, it's safe. We're talking about top 5 favorite robots now.
Yeah, sorry. Top 5 favorite pop culture robots. Johnny 5 will not make my list, Seawood, so shut your mouth. Hal, of course. I am a film major,
top
and
10.
I would be disrespecting 2001 without including Hal, the robot. Ryan is drinking, so I guess I'm drinking.
He's my number 2.
And then my top 2 are the ones that fill me with a lot of joy. The Iron Giant.
You
I freaking love.
Drink.
Damn it.
Oh, shit.
Forgot the Iron Giant.
I freaking love the Iron Giant. I saw that in film school, and I never saw so many film majors cry in a movie than watching the Iron Giant. It was, you see people who basically look like Alec, a whole room of them, you know, people who feel like they all looked. I felt like I was I know Alec, and I love Alec because I went to film school with like 100 Alecs. Not as smart as Alec.
There's only one me.
Fair point. And they all were bawling in Iron Giant. It is just fact. All these sort of like
not a weapon.
Cynical. Oh, I love.
I'm not a gun. That's what he says.
Cynical Quentin Tarantino loving filmmakers bawling at a children's movie was phenomenal for me. And lastly would be Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Still haven't seen Star Trek.
So do I need to drink again? Did I drink the right one? I drank for Hal. I didn't drink for Iron Giant. So Iron Giant. So this is number 4.
My top 5. Number 5 is Alpha 5 from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, Alpha. Damn.
You have to love to hate him. He's so annoying, but so quirky and funny.
Excellent.
Number 4, Iron Giant with a bullet. No pun intended. Number 3, Optimus Prime.
I'm not a gun. Sorry,
I am not a gun.
What was number 3?
Optimus Prime.
I'm Transformer guy.
I think top 10, but not top 5 for me.
Yeah. Cartoon version.
Before my time.
No,
number 2.
Yeah, definitely cartoon.
I cannot believe you need it. Well, maybe Ryan picked these two. Number 2, T-800.
Yep. All right. I'm into that. That's my number 5.
Yeah. And number 1 robot of all time by a easy mile, R2-D2.
Yeah, I thought about D2 and 3PO, and I was kind of like, I need both of them together. I don't like one over the other, and I didn't want to take 2 characters in one spot.
R2-D2 is.
Can I count R2-D2 as my answer for Cylons?
Do it.
Okay.
Sure. But you have to drink.
Here's me. I feel very strongly that you need those droids together. They're a yin and a yang, and the analytical versus the sort of impetuous. You kind of need them together. And I struggled to pick one over the other. Kind
of like you guys. You guys are R2-D2 and C-3PO.
I'm definitely 3PO, aren't I?
Yes, you absolutely are.
Hurry up, Goldenrod. You're going to be a permanent resident.
Pretty good. All right, my number 5. I had T-800 as number 5. I had HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know who's going to recognize that. That's a video game. Star Wars. Yeah. HK-47 I had number 4.
That's a deep cut for Star Wars.
That was my eventual. That was the one. That was the pick I was struggling on the most. I couldn't find a number 5 robot, and I ended up
think of R2.
Yeah, I thought of him, but I prefer somebody else.
Okay, go ahead.
Comment of the night.
I had HAL 9000 at number 2, and I picked C-3PO as number 1 because that's me. I have never. He's like a Larry David robot, and
right. That's a great comment.
Yeah,
T-800 is the Terminator comic.
Yes, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I will say, I thought long and hard about, and he would make my top 10. But for me, I love James Cameron, but I like the first Terminator better, just like I like the first Alien better. And for me, he's a bad guy. He's a villain.
Terminator 2 is the 1 or 1A best action movie of all time.
I mean Terminator as a robot, as trying to exterminate humanity, like the general robot, not specifically Arnold.
Yeah, he is a villain. He's a villain for me.
Yes, I met him in the villainous sense, not in the protect John Connor and ride the motorcycle and that sense.
It felt like a weird. I mean, I love T2. T2 is a great movie, and absolutely a kick in the pants ride. It just felt like a subtle retcon of that character because Arnold was now like an action hero, and we had to keep him as a good guy now.
Never thought of it that way, but yeah.
But like the moment where Linda Carter sees him,
oh, so good,
and like just free, and like the way their relationship that builds over, it's a great movie.
Can't deny that.
Yeah.
You guys have to go somewhere to be.
We got somewhere to be.
Yeah, we're gonna be on TJ Watson here on JD's channel in about 30 minutes. So if you guys aren't subbed to JD, he's in the chat right now. You should sub him up and jump over there because very rarely does the slab dragon get AOK'd. And it's happening tonight. You better freaking be there.
Well, something's happening.
I'm just saying. How often can you watch the slab dragon get AOK'd? Tonight is the night.
It's like Santa getting presents.
It is exactly like
exactly. That's a phenomenal deep cut.
I try occasionally.
Right, I got to say this real quick before we're about to end. When I first started on doing Instagram and on doing YouTube and hanging out, these were the 2 guys that were super friendly to me, super nice to me, super encouraging to me. The guys who continued kind of like making me want to come back and do this again. And every time I asked a stupid question or sounded like an absolute idiot, they would make fun of me, of course, as I'm used to having happen because I had 2 brothers, but also with a lot of heart and friends. The best friends I could possibly find on the internet.
Super friendly? It doesn't sound like me. You sure you're talking about the right guy?
I'm just very grateful to spend the time with the 2 of you together. It is the best part of being on YouTube and Instagram is meeting the two of you.
That's very sweet, John. I feel the same way.
Likewise. Doesn't happen often enough. We can blame me. We can go ahead and blame me for that, if that helps.
I don't know when we're going to do another top 5. Ryan and I do this whenever something tickles our fancy. And I know that we're talking with I Got Issues and Burke Nasty, but beyond that, we're still just trying to figure out when we have time and want to do one of these. We waited and earned tonight with you, Alec.
Alec jumped on like the first video we ever did and said top 5 Battlestar episodes.
He knew right off the bat what he wanted.
I've been ready for months on this one.
I had to finish 24 and then start Battlestar Galactica because priorities, obviously. And now I got to watch Lost because John and I are doing Lost. But
right. Get ready. 1 week away.
Really? Oh,
yeah, about that.
Okay.
Scheduled to be determined.
That's what I'm doing tonight then.
Comic heads are requesting Deadwood one after the movie. I'll certainly do a Deadwood movie review.
We're trying to space out topics, whether it's comics, whether it's movies, whether it's TV series. I think what's fun about top 5 with Ryan is really just there is no surface to, there's no ceiling to this. There's a lot of areas we can cover. And I think we're trying to spread ourselves as wide as we possibly can at the beginning to really make this a lot of fun. And when it pops up, you just never know what pop culture element we're really going to hit.
Who knows? It'll be fun though.
But thank you all for coming by and hanging out. Biggie Shaq, I don't know if we shouted you out. And Kenny, Comic Head 84, thank you so much. Comics Misexplained. And of course, TJ, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everyone, for sitting around and listening to us talk about Cylons.
It's a good topic, though. I mean, you should be so lucky. This conversation should be happening every day.
I agree. And thanks, you guys, for having me. This was fun.
Agreed. Should do Always Sunny one day, Alec.
Hell yeah, man! Sign me up.
That'd be a good one.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna hit the stop button here.
Okay.
Farewell, gentlemen.
Bye.